YouTube village. My name is Nishala Quash, and this is the She Buildeth Her House YouTube channel. On this channel, we're going to be talking about everything biblical womanhood. And on this video, I'm going to give you 5 questions you may not have thought about to ask a midwife when interviewing. So let's jump right into it. The first question you may not have thought of asking is, do they provide or require any pregnancy screenings? And so why is this important? This is important because it'll give you an insight of how your midwife may view certain routine procedures. So whether you know it or not, you do have the right to decline and even request alternatives to certain routine procedures like the glucose test, for instance, or even ultrasounds. And so it's important to see what your midwife's views are and if it aligns with yours. Another question number 2, that you may not have thought of asking a midwife when interviewing is, what is her approach if she happens to have 2 clients laboring simultaneously? Now, this is an important question, especially for a midwife who is a solo midwife. If she doesn't work with a team or doesn't have a co-midwife that she works with, what does that look like? This will also give you insight on how much she schedules herself. Did she overbook herself? How often has this happened? You want someone that's going to be reliable. And the last thing you would want, if it's absolutely important to you, it can be terrifying for some moms, to have a situation where you may potentially have to give birth to your baby by yourself. And that can be scary for a lot of moms. This may be an important question to ask to gauge what your midwife's backup plan is for overbooking or potentially having clients that are going into labor at the same time. Question number 3. Now, you may not have thought to ask this, but it's super important. And I kind of have a similar question to those who are looking to birth in a hospital, but this is more specifically if you're working and interviewing for midwifery care. A question to ask is, what is your hospital transfer rate? And the reason why this is an important question, because it speaks to, 1, the success rate of your midwife and being able to support the progression of labor, but also the transfer rate will also reveal how much time is really given to birth. And so I know that midwives who usually provide care in a birthing center are also kind of on a time clock like a hospital, whether they admit it or not. And so the time given to, let's say, a home birth midwife, she may allow the progression of labor to take more time and really go with the flow, so to speak, because of the lack of space and the limited space. In a birthing center, they might transfer you to the hospital sooner. So they're both midwives. The setting is very different. So if you are looking for a midwife in the birthing center, that's also very important in terms of whether you're going to be forced to birth in a hospital, which is not a part of your birth plan. And nobody wants that, right? Question number 4 to ask a midwife when interviewing is, what equipment do you bring to a birth? This is very important because what's in a midwife's bag definitely reveals how she approaches situations. And so things that you want to look for is, does she carry oxygen? What medications, if any, does she bring for dealing with postpartum hemorrhaging, dealing with induction methods and things of that sort? So that question is going to be a great insight into how well prepared and how does your midwife approach complications that may arise. And last but certainly not least, question that you should ask your midwife is, what does your postpartum care look like? Now, although postpartum care is offered by all midwives, how many visits may vary, and what is covered during those visits do vary. And so some midwives only offer 1 in a 40-hour time frame, and then another at 6 weeks. And some offer some weekly, bi-weekly. And so postpartum care is going to be super important for you, especially if you don't have a support team or a designated postpartum doula. Being able to have access to your midwife during those first few crucial weeks is going to be very important. So definitely ask what the postpartum care looks like if you do happen to hire that midwife as your care provider. Now, I know I said only 5 questions, but there are so many questions that you could be asking your midwife that can give you a clear indication of whether this midwife is going to be right for you and the care that you desire. So if you want to know more, click the link in my description box below to download my 30-and-1 questions to ask a midwife guide. I hope you found this video useful. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next video. Peace.